The sun rises slowly over the vast plains of the Serengeti, casting molten gold across the tall grasses. A low rumble echoes in the distance, not thunder, but the voice of a lion claiming his kingdom. In the shadow of an acacia tree, a lioness lifts her head, ears twitching, alert. Her cubs, tiny, fragile, full of promise, are still asleep, huddled beside her. But peace is fleeting here. Every day is a test of instinct, strength, and sacrifice. For this lion family, survival is not just a way of life. It is the very heartbeat of the wild. In the world of lions, family is everything. Known as a pride, this tightly bonded group can range from a few members to over 20 individuals. A complex, living unit built on cooperation, instinct, and survival. At the heart of the pride are the lionesses, sisters, cousins, mothers. They are the backbone of this society. These females are often related and remain in the same pride for life, raising generations of cubs together. Their bond is unshakable, forged in blood and strengthened by shared trials. The males, on the other hand, are temporary kings. A coalition, typically 2 or 3 males, often brothers, may fight for control of a pride. Once they succeed, their reign begins. But their time is always ticking. A male lion rules not just with might, but with constant vigilance. He must defend his pride from rival coalitions, patrol vast stretches of territory, and ensure the survival of his bloodline. Cubs are the future, wide-eyed, playful, and blissfully unaware of the harshness beyond the grasslands. They rely entirely on their mothers for nourishment and protection. But their safety is never guaranteed. New males taking over a pride often commit infanticide, eliminating cubs that are not their own to force females into heat. It's brutal. It's nature. Hunting is not a solo act. Lionesses move with coordinated grace, fanning out through the darkness to stalk zebras, wildebeests, and antelope. Every step is calculated, every moment a test of patience. When they strike, it's swift and powerful, teamwork at its rawest and most primal. Together, the pride sleeps, eats, hunts, and fights as one. Each member plays a role. Every life is interconnected. In the African wilderness, no lion survives alone, not for long. She moves like a shadow, silent, graceful, lethal. The lioness is not just the hunter of the pride. She is its heart, its provider, its protector. While the male may bear the mane and the roar, it is the female who sustains the pride with every step, every decision, every sacrifice. In the golden stillness before dawn, lionesses rise in unison. With a single glance, a subtle flick of the tail, a silent nod, they begin to move. A living formation built on trust and understanding. No words, no growls, just instinct, sharpened over millennia. Their targets, wildebeest, zebra, or sometimes something smaller when prey is scarce. Flanking from the sides, one lioness flushes, another waits in ambush. When they strike, they do so not for sport, but for survival, for the pride, and more importantly, for their young. Because behind every fierce hunt lies a softer, quieter truth. The lioness is also a mother, and her cubs are everything. Nestled in the tall grasses, the den is sacred. Here, hidden from prying eyes and prowling predators, a lioness gives birth, usually to 2 or 3 cubs, small enough to fit in the curve of her paw. For weeks, she stays away from the pride, nursing them in solitude, vulnerable and alert. Her ears twitch at the faintest sound. Her breath quickens at every crack of a twig. Because she knows, out there, danger waits. As the cubs grow stronger, she brings them home. But she doesn't raise them alone. In the pride, motherhood is shared. Lionesses nurse each other's cubs, groom them, discipline them. One might stand guard while the others sleep. Another might carry a hungry cub back to a fresh kill. This is sisterhood in its rawest form, a village built from blood and necessity. And in the quiet moments, beauty unfolds. A lioness licking her cub's ears clean after a muddy nap. A gentle nudge of her massive head as she teaches him to walk, to stalk, to pounce. Her low, rumbling purr as they cuddle into her side, safe under her watchful eyes. These are not just survival tactics. They are acts of love. Though the world sees her as a predator, she is also a nurturer. Though her muscles ripple with strength, her heart beats with fierce devotion. The lioness is not merely a member of the pride. She is its soul, its rhythm, its true queen. He is the image etched into every storybook, every flag, every emblem of strength. The male lion, the king. His mane blazes like fire under the African sun. His roar rolls across the savannah like thunder. But true power in the wild is not measured in appearance. It is measured in blood, in scars, in the battles won and lost behind that golden gaze. The alpha male does not inherit his throne. He fights for it. Alongside his coalition, often brothers or close allies, he challenges the reigning males of a pride. The battle is swift, savage, and final. If he wins, he claims everything: the territory, the females, the right to sire the next generation. If he loses, he walks away, if he's lucky. But victory comes with a price. The first act of a new reign is often one of blood. Cubs sired by the defeated males are seen as threats. The new king kills them, not out of cruelty, but to ensure his genes are passed on. It is a brutal reset, and one of nature's harshest truths. And yet beneath that fearsome presence lies another side, one seldom seen, but deeply felt. In the quiet hours, when the pride rests in the shade, a cub might clumsily tumble across the grass and paw at the massive sleeping figure of the alpha. At first, the lion doesn't move. Then, with surprising gentleness, he lifts his head. The cub swats at his mane. The male responds not with teeth, but with tolerance. He lets the young one climb his back, tug his ear, test his limits. For a moment, the king becomes a father. Though he does not nurture as the lionesses do, the male lion's presence is vital. His scent marks the borders of the pride's territory. His roar, deep and resonant, warns rivals from miles away. This land is taken. He patrols by moonlight, a silent sentinel against hyenas, leopards, and intruding males. He is the shield behind which his pride sleeps. But time is the greatest challenger. The moment he claims a pride, the countdown begins. Younger coalitions stalk the edges of his domain, waiting for weakness, a limp, a wound, even just age. Any sign of vulnerability invites a coup. One day, the king will fall, as all kings do, and when he does, another will rise. Still, in his prime, the alpha male is a force to behold. He is not just a protector or a conqueror. He is legacy. He is balance. And in the ever-turning cycle of the savannah, his roar echoes as both a warning and a promise. In the silence of the tall grass, beneath the veil of dusk, new life emerges. Hidden away from the pride, a lioness lies curled around her newborns, tiny, blind, barely larger than house cats. Their fur is still damp, their eyes sealed shut, their cries faint and fragile. These are the next generation of the pride, and they begin their lives in complete vulnerability. For the first few weeks, they remain in seclusion. The den is carefully chosen, a rocky outcrop, a thick thicket, or an old termite mound, anywhere discreet and defensible. The mother does not roar. She does not hunt with her sisters. Her world shrinks to the small, hungry mouths she must feed and the shadows that threaten them. Predators are everywhere: a hyena's nose, a leopard's stealth, even a marauding lion, all pose fatal risks. And so the lioness stays hidden, her senses on high alert. She must hunt alone and return quickly. A delay, even of hours, can mean starvation for the cubs. This is survival on a knife's edge. At 2 weeks, their eyes begin to open. The world blurs into view, golden light, waving grasses, the soft rumble of their mother's purr. At 3 weeks, their legs wobble beneath them as they take their first steps. And at 6 to 8 weeks, the moment comes. The lioness leads them back to the pride. It is a cautious introduction. Lionesses gather, sniffing, inspecting. There is no guarantee of acceptance, but once embraced, the cubs become part of something greater. They join a wild nursery, a chaotic blend of tumbling bodies and flicking tails. They chase butterflies, swat at each other's ears, play fight with baby growls that mimic the roars of kings. These games are more than play. They are training, practice for stalking, pouncing, surviving. Still, danger never disappears. Cubs are the most vulnerable members of the pride. A failed hunt means hunger. A wounded mother means orphanhood. And the greatest threat of all comes not from outside, but from within. When new males take over, their reign often begins with the killing of all cubs that are not their own. The lionesses fight to protect them, but often they are overpowered. And just like that, a generation can vanish. But for those who survive, each passing month brings strength. Their teeth sharpen, their muscles grow. At 6 months, they join hunts, learning the rhythm of the chase. At a year, they begin to roam farther, venturing from the safety of the pride's center. And by 2 years, the young males prepare for exile, the next chapter in their journey. Every adult lion began as this, a squirming cub in the grass, born into danger but cradled by fierce devotion. In their first breaths, they are powerless. But with time, with guidance, and with luck, they rise. The African savannah may look like a paradise, vast, golden, teeming with life. But beneath the beauty lies a brutal truth. Survival is never guaranteed. For every lion that thrives, there are countless battles fought, and often lost, against the invisible forces of nature, time, and man. Drought is among the most relentless adversaries. When the rains fail and rivers dry to cracked earth, prey disappears. The great herds move on, and the lions are left behind, leaner with every sunrise. A mother lioness, once strong and full, now paces beside her cubs, her ribs showing, her breath heavy. She searches not for a meal, but for a miracle. And still, she doesn't give up. Prey scarcity turns hunting into desperation. The lionesses must now risk more for less, smaller kills, greater danger. Sometimes they return empty-pawed, greeted by hungry eyes and hopeful cubs. Sometimes the cubs wait all night, only to wake to the silence of another empty morning. But not all threats come from nature. The lines between wilderness and civilization are blurring. As human settlements expand, lion territories shrink. Fences go up. Livestock replace wildebeest. And when lions, starving and confused, kill a farmer's cattle, retaliation often follows, swift and deadly. Poisoned carcasses, snares, rifles, no trial, no mercy. Conflict with other predators is no less fierce. Hyenas, cunning and opportunistic, harass lionesses it kills, outnumbering them and stealing hard-earned prey. A single cub left alone for moments may be snatched away by leopards, jackals, even vultures circling above know the scent of the weak. And yet, amidst the hardship, there is courage. A lioness defending her cubs against a pack of hyenas, teeth bared, body bloodied but unyielding. A male lion, wounded from a territorial battle, still roaring into the night to keep rivals at bay. a pride, exhausted and starving, working together to bring down a buffalo 3 times their size. These are not just instincts. These are acts of will, of unbreakable spirit. In one such moment, as thunderclouds rumble overhead, a young lioness leads her sisters into the storm. Their paws sink into the mud. Rain lashes their eyes, but they press forward. Not because they want to, but because they must. Back in the den, 4 cubs wait in the cold. The lionesses vanish into the darkness, chasing one final chance at survival. The wild does not mourn. It does not pause. But we can. In these moments of sacrifice, loss, resilience, we see not just lions, but life itself, fierce, fragile, worth protecting. Dawn breaks like fire over the savannah. A warm breeze stirs the tall grasses, and the land wakes slowly beneath a painted sky. From the shadow of an acacia tree, the pride begins to stir. The lionesses stretch first, long limbs flexing, muscles rippling beneath tawny fur. Cubs yawn and tumble over each other, still clumsy from sleep. And then the alpha rises, slow, regal, his mane catching the first light like a crown. The day begins with a patrol. The male marks the edges of their territory, pausing at familiar trees, rubbing his face, scratching bark with powerful claws. His roar booms across the plains, a thunderous warning to all who listen. This land is claimed. The lionesses fan out, scouting the area. They are not just patrolling, they are remembering, tracking, watching. As the sun climbs, the heat settles like a heavy blanket. Hunting in midday is suicide. So the pride retreats, to shade, to stillness. They lie in a loose circle beneath a thorn tree, sides heaving slowly, tails flicking at flies. Cubs crawl onto their mothers' backs, chew on ears, play until sleep overtakes them. For a few hours, the savannah is silent, peaceful, breathing. But when the light begins to fade, everything changes. Evening brings movement, cool air, opportunity. The lionesses rise again, eyes sharp, bodies low. They scan the horizon. Wildebeest graze in the distance. Gazelles twitch nervously. It's time. The pride splits, working in synchrony. One flanks left, 2 circle wide. Heartbeats quicken, muscles tense, and then silence shatters. The chase is on, dust explodes under paws, the hunted shriek and scatter. One lioness bursts forward, claws extended, and in a flash, it's over. A kill, a meal. The pride feeds in a frenzy, growling low as they tear through hide and sinew. The cubs arrive late, mewing with hunger, pushing their way in. The male feeds last, unless he claims the carcass first and dares them to try. Night descends in a cloak of black and stars. The savannah changes once more. Hyenas cackle in the distance. Elephants rumble under the moonlight, but the lions remain, full-bellied and alert. The alpha lies apart, watching. Lionesses rest with half-shut eyes. One remains on her feet, always, the sentinel. Another day ends. Another night begins. And the rhythm continues, ancient, wild, and endlessly real. Long after the paw prints fade from the dust and the echoes of roars drift into silence, the pride's legacy lives on. Not in monuments, not in memory, but in the lives shaped and the balance maintained. In the cubs that grew strong under their mother's gaze. In the land held safe by the weight of the alpha's watch. In the pulse of the savannah itself. A lion pride is more than a group of animals. It is a living lineage of strength, sacrifice, and connection. Each lioness passes on her knowledge. How to hunt with precision. How to raise young in a world of predators. How to stand her ground in the face of death. Each male carries the burden of protection, knowing his reign is fleeting, but his influence can echo through generations. Together, they embody something timeless, the power of unity in the wild, where every roar, Every shared kill, every defensive stance at a den's mouth writes a chapter in the story of survival. And when the lions move on, when the grass grows over their trails and the sun rises on a quieter plain, the story doesn't end. It begins again. In a new cub's eyes, in a young lioness's first hunt, in the roar of a new king claiming his place in the cycle. The pride leaves behind more than footprints. It leaves behind a legacy of life and the eternal truth of the wild. Together, they endure. The lion family is more than a symbol of wild power. It is a fragile thread in the fabric of our natural world. Every roar we hear across the plains echoes a fight not just for territory, but for survival against a growing human footprint. Habitat loss, poaching, and conflict are real and rising. But there is hope. Awareness leads to action, and action protects what matters. If this story moved you, share it. Support wildlife conservation. Speak for those who cannot, and subscribe for more cinematic journeys into the wild. Because every view, every voice helps keep their legacy alive.